Let no veteran be forgotten.
This vehicle I have dedicated to my children's grandfather, Art Lesage, who lived in Alexandria here virtually all his life. Art Lesage was in the 82nd Airborne.
Give you a look at our beautiful sunrise here, right here in downtown Alexandria. That would work wonderful for a great high-rise hotel right along Winona Pond that we need to secure as commercial. Inform TV, we're right by the Travelers Inn in downtown Alexandria, and we've got some parade watchers that are sitting along the street here. Looks like they've got a wonderful caramel roll. How are the rolls, kids? Yeah, are you excited about watching the parade?
Yeah.
It's a great spot and a great day here in Alexandria, so enjoy the parade. We're right on the corner of 5th and Broadway here. Looking forward to a great parade. Good morning, ladies. Are you ready for the big parade?
Yeah.
You got perfect seats here on Broadway, don't you? Enjoy the parade. Well, folks, I'm Alan Repke, Inform TV. We're about to film the Memorial Parade here in downtown Alexandria. Got a great crowd from the local citizens and guests along Broadway, so we'll look forward to seeing the parade. The fire trucks and the band is about to come, led by the police department and our fire department. Fire department's been getting a new ladder truck here recently to better protect the citizens of Alexandria and the Alexandria Lakes area when a major fire breaks out, and we thank them for their service. Fire or fire in our sloughs. We're really blessed to have such a great fire department with first-class equipment. Right across the street here, when we had the big fire a few years ago, they kept it from spreading to Howland Robarb right next door, and now we have 2 brand new buildings on the corner of 5th and Broadway, and still room for one more. Here comes the honor car. Looks like it's driven by Russ and his team that put a tremendous amount of effort into securing our new Memorial Park. His honor guard. Getting a nice round of applause, well deserved. Also have down the street there an armory that is home for one of the divisions, I believe I'm saying that right, for the Minnesota National Guard that have served overseas a number of times for our country. Post 87 that has a great club right on 3rd Avenue, and Saturday mornings they still have breakfast, I believe, and many other events, as well as special dining opportunities. And we have a veterans clinic here in Alexandria as well that's expanded to a large degree, and they have a service van and are always looking for people to drive if they need to go to St. Cloud, or the Twin Cities, or the Mayo Clinic for special medical needs. A nice 56 Chevy. And appears to be some historic vehicles from the past, as well as maybe still used today. I'm not sure. Definitely the city of Alexandria is putting together a first-class parade, and now we've got our band, award-winning band from District 206 right here in Alexandria. Give us some fine music this Memorial Weekend 2024. Our scouting groups from Alexandria participating in the parade as well, and we thank them for that. If our Shriners are going to give us a little demo? I hope they do, as they travel around the state of Minnesota doing just that. Everybody safe 24/7, 365, just like our fire department people. We're right across the street, right across Broadway from our beautiful Veterans Memorial Park. You see the great big flag they have hung there right south of Bremer Bank and by the Viking Tower residence. Alan Repke and Inform TV will give you another little look of some of the great attractions we have at the Veterans Memorial here in Alexandria, with a lot of engraved names from various veterans, not just from Alexandria, but I believe anybody could do it. In fact, I should put my Uncle Spike, who served in World War II, as well as my cousin Mike, who was a T-38 trainer instructor for a number of years in the Air Force, as well as my brother John, who was drafted and served back in the 1960s. I was lucky enough, I had signed up for the draft, and all I had to do is sign my final papers, and Nixon came with his lottery, which I still believe in today, and my number was 365. So all my dad's veterans friends, with the mess that was going on in Vietnam, all said, make sure Alan pulls his papers, the good Lord looked out for him. Another look from Alan Repke and Inform TV of some of what you'll see when you pull off at exit 103 on Interstate 94 and follow 29, Highway 29 right down to Broadway. And stop here, there's a restroom for you, and you can see all the effort that went in to this great memorial to honor our veterans here in Alexandria. See, when it comes to service, the state of Minnesota as well as Alexandria goes back all the way to the Civil War, so we have quite an era of service from our military people here in the great city of Alexandria and all the people in the Alexandria Lakes area, all our small towns and communities and various businesses that for years have supported our veterans. Now I'll give you a little look, and you stop here at the Veterans Memorial Park in Alexandria. You can see how all the names that are engraved and the era of service, starting with this one that shows, if I focus in a little more, so you all can see back to 1861 to 1917. Really quite impressive park. If you have veterans in your family or in general, like myself, are incredibly appreciative of their service. And looking how the good Lord gave us this brilliant day with bright morning sun, and hopefully I'm capturing this fine day to share with you and all the veterans in our community of Alexandria, Minnesota. And give you another look at the Liberty Bell here and how they captured this great phrase of our military people over various wars, conflicts. Let no veteran be forgotten. Amen. The thing I want to honor today is ALP, our local electrical supply company owned by the citizens, that provided these boom trucks to hoist Old Glory in a wonderful fashion this Memorial Day in Alexandria. And here I'll show you another way, a reason for you to come down to our Memorial Park in Alexandria. This shows what they call the Cold War era, which I grew up in. I was born in 1950. Vietnam War people, as well as the Korean War folks, which all served us extremely well, and we all need to honor their service whenever possible. The ultimate sacrifice. He gave his life for his country. By just pulling off the freeway at exit 103 and come downtown Alexandria and personally witness this great facility. We're going to get a little explanation of this fine vehicle that was in the parade in Alexandria this Memorial Weekend 2024. Sir, introduce yourself and tell about this fine rig you have.
Well, I'm Brent Johnson from Evansville, Minnesota, just west of Alec here. So today we brought our 1942 Diamond T half-track to have in the parade with a few other vehicles here, just in honor of Memorial Day and all that means to all of us. So,
what do you have a little history on this vehicle?
The history of this vehicle itself is unknown. We do know, we did find the serial number, so we know it's a 42 made by White Motor Company.
Okay.
During World War II, there were over 40,000 of these vehicles built. White Motor Company has the contract primarily.
Okay.
So most of them are just considered white half-tracks. But white couldn't keep up for production during the war, so then Diamond T, Autocar, and International Harvester also built about the equivalent amount of machines. So this one I bought restored about 10 years ago. This one came from a collector in Connecticut. There are about 5 more half-tracks that I'm aware of in the state of Minnesota and 2 in North Dakota. But,
and this would have been primary in the European theater in World War II, or would it have been also likely in Japanese theater, do you know?
They were primarily used in North Africa and Europe, although there were half-tracks used, you know, on the island campaign through the Pacific. A lot of those half-tracks in the Pacific were fitted with like a 75 millimeter cannon on them, and then later in the war they were fitted with quad 50 machine guns. And then this same vehicle was used in Korea with primarily quad 50s for air defense and for ground support.
Now I can see from here, did it originally built with a holder for 2 machine guns, and is this a 50 caliber machine gun on this side?
Yes.
And the one on the back side, what caliber would that be?
That would be a 30.
That'd be a 30. And that was kind of typical the way they designed them?
The vehicle in its primary purpose was designed for armored infantry to follow the tanks up. So it would carry a rifle squad. So it could come up to the battle line, it could unload the rifle company could dismount the guns, set up positions in support of the tanks or their assault or defense, and then go back, primarily just to keep up with the tanks, whereas trucks couldn't go the same places. The vehicle is front-wheel drive, plus the tracks are driven.
And does it steer fairly decent, or do you have to back up to make a sharp turn?
It steers nearly identical to what a truck would do on account of it uses a truck rear end, so the rear differential.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
So it's not like a tank or a bulldozer where you would have to drive it with gears.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Separate transmissions. So the vehicle made it very easy for drivers to transition into this vehicle. If you could drive a passenger vehicle, you could drive this, whereas if you were going to go to a tank or any other track vehicle, you'd have to go to tank school.
Interesting. And once again, how many of these vehicles you said were made in the World War?
40,000.
40,000. Recently, you know, I'm just furious about the lack of support we're giving to Ukraine. We're giving them a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but we give them 31 tanks is all, and just a handful of F-16 fighter jets. And I'm curious, someplace I read that in World War II, the United States, was it possible they made 81,000 tanks?
Sherman's alone.
That's what I thought I had
correct.
read, but I'm getting old, you know, so I don't remember.
In reference to your statement about that, so after World War II, we had all that equipment left in Europe, but, you know, just several years after World War II, the country of Israel became, you know, founded.
Sure.
So after the war, we gave several thousand, if not more, half-tracks to the Israeli Defense Force.
Okay.
And the Israelis used this type of vehicle up into the 90s.
Okay.
So they converted theirs to diesel, and interestingly enough, this vehicle has an Israeli rebuilt engine in it that came out of a half-track in Israel.
Wow.
So there's the Hebrew rebuild tag on the side of the motor, and it's the original flathead 6-cylinder gasoline engine in this vehicle.
Okay. And I also read, I think that Israel, when we're talking about what's going on there, which I support our Israeli friends, that they make their own tanks. Have you read anything about that or aware of that?
For the most part, they build a lot of their equipment specifically for what they need. You know, the Middle East is a completely different, so they're designed for the desert, for the heat, you know, and for the safety of their troops. So.
And with you being a well-educated defense buff, when it comes to the Abrams tanks, do you have any background on them? I'm going to swing quick here with this Jeep in the background and just show that for a second. In fact, I would like to see us making a new generation tank, because the Abrams tank, I believe, was designed and built in last century. And don't you think it's time we redesign the tank? We've got Case, we've got John Deere, we've got Caterpillar. They should be able to design something for us, right?
Yes, and well, of course. So, also, since you brought up the manufacturers of agricultural equipment, International Harvester built about 10,000 of these vehicles.
Okay.
And interestingly enough, they used an International motor, not the White engine, but nearly all of the International Harvester half-tracks that were built were sent Lend-Lease to the British and to the Russians. So it's very rare to even find an International half-track on the North American continent.
And maybe you probably studied, I'm pushing that we expand our airport here to bring passenger service in to Alexandria to show this fine memorial and all the great things we have in Alexandria. But the mayor and our city administrator and our city attorney and all our council members, they're shrinking it actually. And from a standpoint, you must be well aware how important the Alexandria airport was for the war effort.
Well, it was a refueling spot for ferrying bombers to Europe.
Yes, and to Russia.
Yep.
I think Education Minnesota fails our students when we talk about the good old USA not only helped Europe, they also helped the Russians.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're well aware of that, sir. Maybe you have a comment on some of the things they received.
So interestingly enough, and I'm going to share this simply because it's worth sharing.
Speak loud.
So this vehicle I have dedicated to my children's grandfather, Art Lesage, who lived in Alexandria here virtually all his life. Art Lesage was in the 82nd Airborne. He landed in Anzio in Italy during the campaign in Italy. He was wounded, he was captured by the Germans, ended up at a prisoner of war camp in Poland. As the Russians were coming across Poland, the Germans moved the American prisoners closer to Germany. So, in a blizzard, Art and a companion of his escaped from the Germans, hid in a haystack for a day, went to a Polish farmhouse where they fed them, and pointed them in the general direction of the Russians. When they reached the Russians were unsure what was going on and who they were, so the Russians were simply going to shoot them because they're not big on conversation.
Yes.
The only thing that Grandpa Art said that saved their life that moment was the Russians were driving a Studebaker truck that the Americans had given the Russians. So for the few words they could think of, they go Studebaker, Stalin, Roosevelt, vodka. And the Russians look at them, what are these guys about? Put their guns down, and then after 3 months, Art and his companion made it back through the Black Sea, back through Greece, back through North Africa, and made it back to Minnesota.
Thank you for sharing that wonderful story as well as a historic event with us, sir. That was great of you. Anything else you want to tell about?
No, I think kind of caught up. They're waiting on me, but...
Okay.